What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. It is here. We finally have a confirmation date for when we should be receiving Scarlet Witch as a playable character inside the game, and that's more than likely going to be on or about May 10th. So the way we figure this out is because they've basically launched a countdown event starting today for the next 10 days, meaning that, May 1st, we're going to collect 1 million gold. This is pretty nice. We get a Stark support box on the 2nd. We get some training time tickets on the 3rd, a PIM support box on the 4th. We get some companion upgrade boxes on the 5th. Fury support box on the 1st, raid reward tickets on the 7th, Chavez support box on the 8th, crystallized convergent particles, the really big ones, on the 30th, and then we get 500 crystals on the last day of the event. So basically what we get is the movie will release that weekend prior to her release, which is probably giving them enough time. As you know, they're working on a invasion event for the movie, so we're probably going to get some kind. If they released it prior to the movie, we'd probably have some type of spoilers or something related to the movie, like who's villains that are going to show up, what are powers and things like that supposed to look like, that sort of stuff we would probably get inside here. So they've done an excellent job in terms of keeping wraps on the character specifically till then. Can't complain about that. It is what it is. I mean, I don't tend to look negatively on when games try to do these things, because the truth of the matter is that when you typically get that kind of stuff inside the game, especially when it's tied to a movie and stuff like that, you really don't want to spoil the movie for people, because that's the more magnanimous thing, right? That has a set time limit. The characters are going to change over time. It's going to reroute course over time inside there, and so do you really want to mess up that inside the game? And my feelings is that realistically not. So one of the things I wanted to do with this video is explore what are some expectations that we basically have for Scarlet Witch being introduced inside the Marvel Future Revolution world. So number one, first off at the bat, is that Dev Note number 10 gave us way more than enough information for us to, at the very least, look at the character to see what we would most likely have when we got it. We probably realistically know that we will receive that costume look, meaning the costume look they've been using for her in-game, aka this costume right here. Now, interestingly enough, that you notice that inside the comments section, it says with the Darkhold in her hands. When we last saw Wanda inside WandaVision, she was studying the book of the Darkhold in isolation, which means that what I'm expecting for inside the Multiverse of Madness is a supremely more powerful Scarlet Witch than we've had either in in-game or anything beyond that, because if you are not aware of comic books and how powerful the Darkhold is, yeah, it's a pretty powerful goddamn book. So, and you also notice that they're saying that, she's going to exceed the power of Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. Like I said to you guys when I read the dev note, this doesn't really bode well for me in terms of seeing the character reflected, because A, Doctor Strange isn't that damn powerful. He needs a boost. B, I just don't want to hear that. So it's almost like a spitefulness that this is done with, or a lack of awareness by the marketing team. Like, this is one of those parts where you go, read the room, guys. Like, read the room. So then we get some looks at her skill here. I'm going to take this off screen because I'm going to pull up Marvel Future Fight for you guys. Yeah, I know this is like weird, but it's not weird. I don't know why people keep trying to deny the evolution of the two games and the synergy that could exist between them. But essentially, inside of Marvel Future Fight, with this, we've already received the Multiverse of Madness update there. Like, it's not as if though they've, the costumes are there. So we know more than likely inside the Multiverse of Madness, because Marvel Future Future Fight has worked so closely with, you know, delivering content based on movies and synergy like that for 7 years. They've been doing this. We know that this is typically probably the costume that is going to be her primary look or a look inside of the movie. It's the Multiverse of Madness update. That is just the truth of the matter. So it'd be ignorant to ignore that. A lot of times inside Marvel Future Fight 2, we also often get a skill set that kind of synergizes with the movies as well, meaning like the you know, like so this is easy if I show it to you. Basically it's basically easy. So for instance, when WandaVision came out, we got the WandaVision uniform, and with that uniform we got to see some of the skills that were reflective of things that happened inside WandaVision. So for instance, inside WandaVision, you basically had, you know, Vision appearing with the help, and Vision was in his white suit. You've got the hex barrier that's around her. So there's a lot of you know, interplay in terms of the uniforms there. So the really good thing about trying to look at this is breaking down the skills that they specifically talk about and taking a look at another game like Marvel Future Fight to try to understand what it is that we possibly will see for Wanda's introduction into this game. So let's take a look at that, because I think this is going to be the best case scenario, right? Is look at her, and this is to give us an idea of basically what we're getting in the game. And so, and it's perfect too, because I want to point out some skills inside here that is really indicative of what we could possibly see. If you remember when I was playing Doctor Strange, a lot of times I reference Doctor Strange inside Marvel Future Fight because the way he played inside Marvel Future Fight was seemingly the way that he played inside of this game, inside of Marvel Future Revolution, with some faults because of the system mechanic differences between the two games. So let's take a look at Wanda to see how things are going to happen, right? So Wanda's an energy-based character inside Marvel Future Fight. I expect that there's no difference between energy and physical inside this game necessarily inside Marvel Future Revolution, but it'll give us at least an idea of scaling in terms of the power of that character, right? So let's take a look at some of her skills, because number one, the first thing that they point out is Hex Energy. It's a skill class that uses telekinetic powers to subdue the target or throw various objects to inflict strong damage to enemy. Now, this is one of her subclass skills. So for instance, inside Marvel Future Revolution, we basically have, you know, skill trees is what I like to call them, right? And it's going to be Hex Energy, Witchcraft, and then her Chaos Magic. It's interesting that they do that because it shows the evolution of the character from her very beginnings. It's even more interesting because the last time that we've actually seen Wanda using Hex Magic inside the comics has been a long time. Wanda's not really a Hex witch anymore. You know, that was the origins of her powers, but she has grown over time from those powers. But here, even inside the Multiverse of Madness, we see that she has Hex sphere powers, right? So these are strong damage skills. They have high guard damage. They subdue targets when conditions are satisfied. And even inside here, you can see that she's getting, you know, mind control. She's decreasing their mind resistance, you know. So on the same token, she's also causing paralysis to targets as well. So that goes along with the subjugation or subduing of the characters, right? When conditions are satisfied. So what the conditions will be is going to be something interesting to see how they play out inside of Marvel Future Revolution. That's just interesting enough to me along that lines right there, right? So it's going to be interesting, right? Up next, what we get talked about here is her Witchcraft. My idea specifically for the Hex Energy, taking a step back real quick, is going to probably be something similar to what they've kind of tried to evolve Strange into inside Marvel Future Revolution. And that's what I expect that we're going to get. Is there going to be conditions like maybe some kind of, you know, I don't know, like stacking of something the way, you know, Doctor Strange is when he bans people to the, you know, whatever shadow dimension for the 1 second that he's there, which is, oh god, I don't know. Then we get the witchcraft skill, right? So witchcraft is going to be a class that uses magical powers to grant various effects to aid in battle. So like creating clones, stealth, apply buffs to yourself and your allies. This is similar to Doctor Strange basically creating his illusions of icon, or providing him some form of stealth in terms of like using astral walk or soul defense, and then, you know, applying buffs to the characters. Probably the same thing in terms of like, you know, using the lesson of wisdom or the soul, which is soul, I can't remember which one provides defense pierce and stuff like that, but the other one that provides cooldown duration reductions and stuff like that. This is probably what we're gonna see. Now, there's nothing inside of, you know, Marvel Future Fight to indicate any of those skills, because nothing in here that she innately does based on her skills is doing that. Now, her passives and things like that, like you can see her leadership is increasing energy attack to other characters. You can see that her passives buff herself, and even on like something like her uniform effects, she's just applying those to herself. So it's a weird thing to try to, you know, push that in terms of talking about skills. Not to mention, you notice there's not really any witch magic like things that you could directly point out inside of Marvel Future Fight. So it'll be interesting to see. The most interesting one is that this is where we should see, you know, Wanda in terms of the multiverse of madness, and that's the application of becoming the Chaos Witch. You know, she is now a, you know, or agent of chaos basically, and she's a Nexus level being inside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and therefore becoming this Nexus level being, the way Kang spoke about it, the way, you know, you have other people speaking about it. This is a chaos type person, so it's her bringing her Nexus level reality warp shipping is going to bring chaos to an area. So this is going to apply status effects to enemies such as silence, confusion, curse, and instability. This looks like it's going to probably be more reflective of Doctor Strange's PvP skill, where it causes confusion and people start to fight each other and stuff like that. You notice that they give a special note in here where it says curse, for instance, and you control the target's movement, and then instability, where it increases target's resource consumption. So this will be really two mechanics that will really be interesting, because these are DOT type skills, damage over time. The curse probably is going to do something where you can, you know, control mobs or something like that. The instability is probably going to be something PvP reflective, where it's going to, you know, decrease your ability to maybe use dodge, or increase the cost that is going to, you know, for your cooldowns, or increase the cost for casting certain skills inside here. So it'll be really interesting to see where it is. The weird part is they're still in the final phases of balance testing and development. You guys really need to institute a lab server, so that way you can get players in on this to help. That would be the best benefit, in my opinion, of having the content creator core, is that Marvel Future Revolution should just create a test lab server, or put a, you know, agent kit out there. The Marvel Future Fight used to do this with their content creator core, and it gave them time to test stuff. It gave, you know, the content creators early access to play with things, and then use that actually for feedback on a character. Now, when we talk about chaos magic for Scarlet, we can see skills inside here that she has for her abilities. Like, for instance, Chaos Assault is a skill that she has. I want to take a look inside these skills, because another good thing about Marvel Future Fight is that often is the case that when we do get movie tie-ins with characters like this, they also have skills that are reflective of the character and how they operated in the movie. So for instance, let's start off with the rotation of skills here, and we have like a 1 skill. Now this skill doesn't look like it does anything, but this might be something that we could see that's like a basic attack. Scarlet cast these little hex bolts and stuff like that she was doing before, and we probably could see something like this for, you know, Scarlet's basic attack inside the game. This is a little bit of an upgraded attack that it just causes, like you can see, a damage over time. It applies status effects to your characters inside there, and you can see what statuses are being applied. Basically, mine resistance is stacking, paralysis, meaning the targets are held in place. Then we get over here with her 2 skill, and you can see how amazing that skill looks, right? There's essentially a bubble effect that she provides around herself, even though she doesn't have any immunity on these skills, and we can see what that skill is specifically providing as well. It's a damage accumulation skill, which is on a 2 skill inside this game, which is interesting, right? Her 3rd skill, which is the Chaos Assault skill, you can see she's summoning these spikes. That means that more than likely this skill, the 2 and the 3 skill, are going to be something that we most likely will see inside the Multiverse of Madness movie. I'm going to have to imagine that. Would this be a reflective skill inside Marvel Future Revolution? Quite the possibility, and if they did, it would be really cool, because while she's in this bubble, she has these iframes. It'd be a really good idea to give her iframes, ignore targeting, whatever the fuck you want to call it inside Marvel Future Revolution. It's just iframes. I hate that there's so many different names for this. It's just iframes, where she's invincible in this skill. So it's really, really cool and reflective of that, right? Her 4th skill, you immediately see that she summons these runes, and this one is called Rune Defense. Well, this would be really, no, it's called Mystic Rage. Why did I thought it was called Rune Defense? But you can see she's summoning these runes or something. So maybe this is going to be a skill that she learns from the Darkhold, and maybe that's something that we apply to her inside of Marvel Future Revolution, in terms of like her chaos magic, now that she's on that level. Now, one of the skills that we know for a fact, because we've seen it inside the trailers, is this skill right here, where she summons these bubbles basically, and they just attack. Basically, we've seen that inside the trailers. So whether or not this will play out and that skill will be there inside Marvel Future Revolution, I feel highly, you know, like, I feel pretty confident that these skills, especially 3, 5, and 4 on here that I just showed you, are probably going to make some sort of appearance inside of Marvel Future Revolution. It'd be really weird for them not to, especially since it's so tied to the movie. I really hope that they get on the ball of understanding that what the players want to see is specifically those type of tie-ins things. Like, you know, maybe, you know, getting the Multiverse of Madness off the ground will give them some kind of idea to give Doctor Strange some form of costume that you could put in a shop for $26.99, and you could sell that costume, or you know, doing the same for like other characters that might make an appearance, making costume changes to America Chavez as she appears inside the store and things like that. Those would be really cool ideas, right? At least from in my opinion, right? Now, I don't expect that we will see this level of skill from Wanda. This is like her tier 3 skill. I haven't seen anything reflective of the tier 3 skills that we essentially get inside Marvel Future Fight. A lot of times when we do get updates, it really has to be really specific to a character in order to see those type of updates to tier 3 skills and things like that. So what her ultimate skill might be, who knows? I really don't know, but I'm going to imagine something in the way of something like Strange. It's really weird because the tier 3s inside Marvel Future Revolution, not the tier 3s, but the ultimate skills never quite feel as ultimate as you would want them to be. It's one of the things me and Kiger spoke about in one of our wrap-ups, and I think me and Mr. Juicy Fruit 123 spoke about the same thing, is that they just don't feel impactful in any way, shape, form or fashion. I mean, the companion summons feels more impactful than the ultimate skill. So when we look at the skills overall, what am I hoping to see from the characters, right? I'm hoping that what we get in Wanda is some sort of how best to say this. I'm hoping that basically what we get is a connection to the character, and the primary connection that people will feel towards the character is going to comparatively be by looking at the MCU, because I think a lot of the player base, maybe the majority of the player base, is going to have interacted with the character from that perspective. I don't think that, you know, a lot of players will have understanding of, just based on the hex code thing and people questioning whether or not that we were getting Scarlet Witch for this update. That already lets me know that people were not aware of hex magic Wanda and her beginnings, and necessarily having that intimate knowledge with the comic book version of the character, and that most people have experienced Wanda through the television show and then through the movies. Now, how that changes inside this game should be really interesting, and I am looking forward to the character. Is the character going to be enough for me to rotate over to? No. Scarlet Witch is not a character that would become my primary. I'm hoping that the things that they do bring to the character, though, like, you know, changes that they start making to the game, however, will be reflective of me being able to invest in another character, because she would definitely be at the top of my list for other characters to invest in. You can see I'm investing in Spider-Man in the background right here, right now, but she would be one of those characters that I would be highly interested in investing in as an alternative. That's just the truth of the matter. I am looking forward to her, and I will be bringing you guys content as soon as I can, because I definitely think that a lot of players are going to try to make the switch over to Wanda. She is a very popular character. I think people are, you know, downplaying any fact that she will bring some eyes onto this game, that she will bring some excitement for players to the game as well. I think that in order for this game to grow, they're going to have to introduce even bigger names. Wolverine, Thor, Deadpool. These characters are going to bring a great deal of eyes, especially with the resources at their disposal, with their creation and the high level fidelity of graphics. One of the things I think that holds Marvel Future Fight back essentially is the look of, you know, while the looks of the characters inside the models, the game hasn't grown with the graphics that are there. You know, like Marvel Contest of Champion and Marvel Strike Force graphics has a very specific looking style that doesn't tend to get it into the photorealism kind of phase. I think that's one of the things that is going to be missing from a game like Marvel Future Fight. But hey, 7 years in, and they're still doing a great job. I know from the trailers alone that she's going to look absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to the character. Let me know in the comment section below. I know Godslave told me that he plans on switching over to Wanda. I would love to do a video with Godslave as he does his ascension with her, to basically see how long it's going to really take him in order to build this character up to where she is actually viable, you know, to play in top level content with you know, like Invasion and stuff like that, and generate actual, you know, top 10 scores, top spots inside PvP. I don't see myself investing that, because specialization, specifically for characters inside this game, there are two places in this game that you just cannot rush, no matter how, you know, much you spend, no matter how much time, and that is literally going to be your potential. Really, really hard to do that. Your specialization as well, another place really, really hard to fill out this tree without some serious investment time, especially if you've already begun, you know, starting to invest in other characters. So those are two areas that you just can't outspend the time and the resource availability for right now. You can't grind those out with, you know, like, I can't run raid 20 million times in a week so that way I can have the resources. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, thank you for stopping by. Hit that fucking subscribe button, and until next time, peace.